you'll pass him. He's so kind as to do that, sir.
So this is the February CB1 Landmarks Committee, and we're gonna see 74 Hudson, which we saw a couple months ago, and I think there's some minor changes, right? And when is your hearing?
The first one in the first weekend.
Great, okay, so why don't you start freshen us up for those of us that weren't here last time?
Yeah, so this presentation kind of has the whole shebang.
Yeah, I think let's do it one more time.
Research context, but basically last time we were here, it's 74 Hudson, which is on the corner of Worth and Hudson. It's an empty lot right now. It's a parking lot with stackers. The program right now is primarily, it's a commercial building, so the developer has a tenant in mind that it's being developed for. Half the footprint will be for Goldfish Swim School. And we are able, in terms of like laying out the program, to develop a secondary tenant space, which will just be a white box commercial space for everyone who's new to the project. Basically, last time we were here, there was a lot of concern. It's a tricky site. I can start to get into that because there's some 1980s easements on the property for the surrounding buildings for Light Air that was protected. So let me get into that. This is our site. On the right here, it's probably the most important image. That's the historical boundary of the Tribeca district that we're talking about. You can see we're right there on that corner, on the edge. There's a zoom in, you can see North Street to the south and Hudson to the west, and then we have, is it Harrison, you said?
Yes.
Harrison Street terminates right into a Smith block. So this is a view of the site. You can see the context of the existing buildings. These are the kind of three buildings that have their light and air easements on this. In general, what we'll talk about a lot is the challenge of the site is contextuality, because the easements, while protecting the light and air, limit the building to roughly 18 feet above the base plane, which Landmark struggles with as a missing tooth. As a design, it kind of looks out the way. So what we're trying to do is create our own kind of contextual kind of relationship to the neighborhood. These are the immediate buildings along Worth Street in terms of context, just for reference in terms of the fabric that we're trying to tie into. And then this is Hudson. You can see large corner commercial building, whereas we're also trying to lot limited to 18 feet. So these are kind of the street elevations. You can see what the limits of that height really do in terms of this missing tooth. Everything kind of wants to be that 6 to 7 scale building, but it's not possible. This is once you calculate kind of the product of those easements, this is what we're left with in terms of what's allowable in terms of it. Last time we were here, one of the neighbors did bring up, rightfully so, that there's a discrepancy between the tax map online and the surveys that are enshrined both in the easements and our current surveys. So we're working to correct that. We've met a couple of times with the neighbors as the architect, and the client met a few times before. I know there was concern about that lack of
The neighbors are here, right?
There was
do,
one
yeah.
meeting, one meeting.
got a couple.
We had a virtual meeting with in person.
With the.
Yeah.
The, virtual meeting was in December.
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so these are all the various surveys just to kind of show performance and with what we understand the mets and bounds of the site to be. This is our massing, which has been adjusted slightly, and I will say the reason we're back again, there are minor tweaks. The major tweak was kind of the streetscape kind of expression that we're doing. We've removed what I'll get into are the metal screens that we had in each bay of the windows at the storefront. Both LPC didn't think they were necessary, as well as the tenant didn't really think they were appropriate for how they kind of operate. And tenant's not there, and this is just a commercial lot. Obviously, we want clear windows. Those were removed. There's minor tweaks to massing and such that LPC asked us to do. You guys on this to, and consensus was yes, let's just do it. They were going to the market anyway. The biggest change in the massing is understanding the easement with several lawyers is this portion gets recessed. So it gets dropped down, which is a great benefit to the windows.
So that's a change from the last.
It's changed from the last time, and what that means is if you recall, we were able, because of the slope of the site and that 18 that magic 18-foot number, we were able to fit a secondary tenant space, kind of on a loft space, a mezzanine, that would have been right around there. We got rid of it.
That neighborhood here, wasn't his window?
That's the flower shop owner here. You can see we've actually, this is orthogonal by, I don't know if I can.
That flower shop owns that space?
Flower shop has lot line windows that are not protected in his office space.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But in terms of the way that's actually drawn, in terms of the easement, we've actually rationalized it here, both structurally, construction wise, so those windows will actually have light and just simplifying the form, which makes sense to kind of cut it in the bag.
And he won't have light.
You will have a little bit just because it doesn't make sense to cut it here.
I know, but if he didn't buy
But
light
you can still
and,
protect the windows. It's not really scope of this presentation, but we are, I mean,
So in other words, there's nothing on the other side of that diagonal, that's empty space?
basically here, this portion, creating this little dog leg here is structurally just effort that's not necessary. So this lower level will extend to here. So these windows will have some exposure to it. On the second.
On the second floor, but not you, but
that's the problem, because, the chair is saying that.
No, we're just gonna get through the presentation and then the young lady can speak.
So this is historical context up until today. You can see there were some larger buildings on site before it became a parking lot. I don't belabor the height issue and that contextuality. All this is just to say what follows from this page is our contextual analysis of the neighborhood. We did a survey of historic 1- and 2-story buildings in the district boundaries, which have mostly disappeared.
That's the site in
That was the site.
1927?
There was a printing house, a press, yeah. So this is a survey of the historic 1- to 2-story buildings. They're for the most part gone. And then we're also looking at the more typical kind of expression of the corner commercial buildings that are much more typical height. And then just for the sake of understanding how other people have handled contemporary building in a historic district, we do have a survey of them. For the most part, they're kind of like a postmodern rehashing of elements that you see in historic buildings or a complete departure with a mix of kind of quiet modern. New York and Manhattan. So then going through, this is additional contemporary projects that were approved by LPC in the last maybe 10 to 15 years. You can see kind of taking kind of historical vestiges and modernism behind that kind of, I think this one's been accused of some facadism. This is a future kind of addition to that building. And then again, some more quiet modernism. This is what was approved, I believe, in 2008 by a different architect. We don't love it, but we just thought for history's sake, it's worth comparing. So then we start to look at like the expression of the building in the storefront, given that we're going to have a single-story building, and how we kind of pick up on at least some motifs in terms of expression, materiality. Large commercial bays on the ground floor of these plinths are an expression that we tied into, as are kind of these shuttered kind of elements. You see this guy has some folded shutters here. Starting to look at the masonry, the patinaed metal as a material palette for the project. We have a lot of context photos because we did a full survey of the building. So we have it split into historical kind of expressions, the arches are, as well. We did the larger bays before. It's some ground floor arches. It's the masonry is kind of articulated in different ways depending on the building. Some of them are kind of a classical rounded arch. Other ones, as we get further along in history, they start to get a little more stylized with the masonry work and the geometry of the arch. More examples of these large arches at street level. You can see kind of how we start to break up those arches in their expression, which becomes relevant more later. And then just looking at that genealogy of the arch types in terms of like a classical full half round, a flattened arch. Yeah, kind of further along. Another thing we really liked was this terracotta kind of element that you see here and there. We like the idea of a street sign integrated into it. We're a very small building, so we're working with different terracotta and precast companies, but in terms of producing terracotta at this scale, it's going to be challenging, but we're working on terracotta lookalike precast as well as So facade development, this is kind of a high level kind of list of things that we've been doing that led to changes till now. Meetings with the neighbors. Part of that is the easement, making sure we all have consensus on what those easements mean for the project and the property. Understanding their implications on lot line windows, the ones that are protected and the ones that are not. Obviously, everyone's really concerned about mechanical equipment. The mechanical equipment is responding to basically kind of 3 tiers of consideration. There's language in the easements of where those mechanical bulkheads can go. There's also obviously landmarks, wants them to be at least minimally visible, if visible at all. And then we also want to be able to have an offset of acoustic screens, because the whole point of the easement is light and air and quality of life. So we sound issues. We're looking at acoustic code right now. We're working with a couple different companies for acoustic baffled screens, so we can color match this here.
Correct.
So this is, I won't get into the nuances of this because it comes up with the slides that we're going to get through with the major changes that we wanted to present today. But you have it in the PDF. So this is the kind of abstract render that we started with a kind of terracotta expression. What we're thinking of is we're trying to exaggerate the height as much as possible and the masonry element. The red kind of brown, we have some material samples here that we're developing. It looks much more red here, but this is the previous render. But basically what we're riffing on is the patented metal you saw in some of those panels and the colors of this terracotta and brick elements throughout the district. But here you'll see we did have these perforated screens, which we liked in terms of providing privacy. It is a swim school. It's a chain swim school. It's pretty popular.
Right. I think that's mandatory because this is also a school, a swimming pool for small children.
Yeah, exactly. But the tenant, this is not how they operate is with these kind of screens. And LPC was concerned that if this becomes not a pool at some day, what does it look like without the screen? So initially they asked us to study that. That was happening at the same time as the tenant not requiring them. Where we landed was integrated blinds, which are while inside the building or in the first 18 inches. So they are in LPC's purview. And so we have a detail where the idea would be if they need them, there's kind of a scrim that is in grayscale that would come down. So that's from mid-November. This is where we're at today. It shows a lot more context in terms of we've had time to kind of really embed these with photos. LPC had asked us to show it without the blinds. So the blinds exist in this datum. So the transom levels will always be clear. And then these have like a translucent blind that can come down. They also wanted to see the implications of our street trees. We have some limitations because of the infrastructure that exists. We're allowed to kind of fit 2 additional street trees. This one is there right now. You can see from here onward, we have the screens down. So basically what happened when we workshopped with the tenant is they discovered they actually only needed half the footprint. So when we lost that secondary tenant on that kind of mezzanine second level, they're able to occupy a corner. This will be a white box future commercial space on the lower half of the right into when we enter plans. What that meant is we got to move the main entrance from this corner to the center, which makes a lot more sense in terms of procession. And then the secondary tenant has this corner space, which is ideal for that type of tenant. And then you see we've
These poor kids are not the center of attention when they're
right the blinds.
almost naked, but still.
What is the
the idea.
secondary tenant?
It's a white box. It's
My God,
It's empty.
I'm waiting for
It's
someone to
commercial.
pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
commercial space.
But what are the infrastructural limitations to more streets?
In the survey, any of these kind of, any fire hydrants, any oil wells, any signposts, any lampposts, there's a radius. Do we have that in the site plan? I think we do.
It is, yeah. Well, I mean, you're working with the DOT and you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
find.
it's the rule.
Okay, so then,
No, I know that, but what specific,
Well,
other
I
than,
have a site plan.
Okay.
This is another angle, kind of coming from the north, from across the street. So this is an update without the street trees kind of expressed and with the blinds kind of drawn up. You can see the property kind of is split along that bay. We'll get into the site plans, but what's great about this view that was a little more abstract the last time we presented is kind of materiality, and also we're picking up a bit of the Walker Buildings plan here. Street trees and blinds, there's a request. The trees actually help a lot, but here you can see there's a set from every element that's basically here. Obviously, we'll be getting rid of the curb cuts. And then this is a view we didn't have last time, and it's pretty interesting because you're coming down Harrison Street, and you can see that these are like what we're kind of trying Our take is that the parabolic arch is it's self-aware in its contemporary nature. It also helps like exaggerate the height of the building, which we're really lacking. Street trees and blinds. So when we look at our visibility studies, which we have as an appendix, for the most part, are mechanical screens, and like you can't see mechanical from here, that they're minimally visible from very specific points on the site. So we'll get into that. The real only visibility we see is if you go all the way to the district boundary on Harrison Street, that you start to see, you know, the inkling of a mechanical bulkhead back here. It's actually our acoustic screens that you'll see. They're color matched to this color, so you just see a sliver at the top if you even notice it. So these are our elevations once we put our building into context. These are some kind of pure elevations that have been modified a little bit. You can see we're going for, there will be, you can see we have a signage band here over the main entrance that has minimal lighting to light the upstand letters there as well as the Worth Street entrance. And then we're going for 2 blade signs for standard LPC stuff. Here we're just treating them a bit like a master plan for the signage. And we don't know about the second one. The elevations, like I said. So you can see in pure elevation, you do see the bulkheads a little bit, but that's what we're going to show you that isn't really visible except for here. Street. So this is that dropped area. The dropped area helps us also kind of with getting maintenance access to the roof. I know there was a lot of concern last time whether we're programming the roof. We are not. It will be a green roof or it's not mechanical because that's the new law. It's a sustainable roof. It's at a green or solar panel. Okay. I think we want solar panels here given all the concerns about blocking sightlines. So these are the units that are required for the pool. This is a small unit required for a commercial space adjacent to the elevator overrun, which only serves the cellar and the ground floor. So it's minimal, it's not visible from the street and it doesn't serve the roof. Dropping this area is actually a bit of a win for us because we can have the stair go up into that space and access everything from the ship ladder. That site plan, it kind of shows the offset of where we're not allowed to have the tree pits that are now part of the figure a lot of us know about. So the hatched area is where we're not allowed to get any kind of street tree pit in. We have to pay into the fund for remaining 2 street trees.
Would there be any willingness to do planters of some sort in that area?
That would be DOT revolving.
Okay.
So here's the plan changes. I think let's look over here. First of all, when you last saw it, we had the pool much bigger, rotated. This is what they're saying they need now, and this is the secondary tenant space. You can see our egress is tucked to the corners, maximizing the retail frontage. And I mean, the entrances are a lot more rational in terms of how a tenant would want those to operate out day-to-day city life, sidewalk life. And then the cellar, like we said last time, we're offsetting 5 feet all the way around. There'll be a mat slab there and the columns will kind of cantilever as it rest out. And then we're kind of just splitting the baby here. The pool infrastructure will live down here. They'll lay that out as they see fit. The secondary tenant will have access to this.
And 3 tenants.
No, the pool here, this will be blocked off because
Well, no, you have a tenant, goldfish in the corner.
Goldfish, this is their back of house space. So that
And this tenant,
this is for the corner tenant, the secondary tenant.
So the goldfish in the pool are one tenant.
yeah.
Yeah.
If that's the
So
goldfish
this
in the
one's-
pool. And just the corner is.
Right, so I mean, just logically, we toyed with splitting this
Oh, I
different
see,
ways.
never mind.
Yeah, so it's there, they
You
get,
were saying, there you go. Are you doing lighting on the exterior?
we're keeping it very minimal and I'll show you where we are putting lighting. It is currently within the property line and supposed to light the pilasters of the arches. I know there was concern about glare and light pollution last time, but they are only, I'll show you. I think it's
And I'm sorry, you brought a sample of that
Yeah.
red?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's the arch, I think it's the color that freaks it.
I also, everyone's screen is different and it's within a little Spider-Man.
What do they call that color? We don't have it yet.
Oh,
Like
no,
a
that-
Cherokee red, Cherokee red? That's a Cherokee red.
These are custom glazes. That-
Oh,
What we're looking for is a variation that looks like a handmade kind of quality. These are from Austin Valley. So we've asked them to update the mix to reflect this color a little more, so it's a little less red, it's a little more kind of, yeah, exactly. And then we're asking to bump back the gloss to a satin. So it's not too shiny. This is the color of the bulkheads, so they recede. This is the color of all the window hardware, and this is the color of the signage letter. Okay.
Thank you.
So this shows kind of, this is cut, this is that dropped area. It gives us access to mechanical space, but that's actually just basically a large inner court for light and air to protect those easement windows. This is a division that's within the Goldface tenant space. It's a glass wall where the parents watch from this side, but the benefit of this is it's all double height expression. No mezzanine.
Pervious the exterior, so whatever.
But the mezzanine was visible from the exterior. Let's see. So here's a section, this is cut before we have to drop down. This kind of shows you the elevator overrun parapet. There was lots of discussion of that. So this represents that 18-foot. It's measured from a very specific point in a historic survey. So it's roughly 18'6" above our calculated base plane of the current survey. And then anything that's an allowable obstruction beyond that 18-foot, unless it's called out specifically in the easement, it's allowed past it. So we're doing 42-inch parapet along the perimeter, which is required. And then you'll see up against the buildings, we're minimizing it to a 6-inch curve where possible. Really kind of neutralize the impact of any kind of window infringement where we can.
Because last time you were like at 20, wasn't that the issue where?
It's still the same height, it's just, so the historic survey that is referred to in the easements is Manhattan datum. There's a lot of people that convert that to NAVD. There's a point that we're measuring from, and that's 18 feet. But that 18 feet isn't across the board, we're on a slope site, so there's variance there, and then you have the 42-inch parapet. So here you can see it'll be a green cedar matte roof. We have our FDMY path just along the perimeter, which is very typical. So this is our signage details. That's the blade signage. You can see it in elevation here, upstanding letters, very minimal lighting, thin 7-inch letters. And this is the in concrete property lines there. It's meant to just wash the arch. That's why we want to bump down the gloss. But these lights also have adjustments you can make to control the beams, which shouldn't be binding anyone. So this is a plan view of the pilasters. This we'd really love to work. We're working with the vendors. We saw that example of the terracotta signage. We think there's a lot of whimsy there, and it'd be really great to be able to cast that into the corner. And then it's a really minimal detail here. And this is how those blinds would work. This band would run along the inside on a transom kind of expression. When they come down, we're just kind of trying to work with that curve. So on the inside, they drop down. Visibility studies. So here you can see handrail, which is just completes our 42-inch parapet legally. It's minimally visible. And mechanical equipment, it's really hard to see, but there's like slightly darker spots behind it. This is color matched acoustical screen that you can see there, but you have to be this far back. I don't think anyone's going to register that.
Because there's the Jenga in the back.
Oh,
So don't forget
It's a very dominant
your
expression.
6-inch protrusion, then we have that.
And actually that, and then the size of these walls below here, we kind of had to Photoshop out this gray paint up to here, but it kept reading as a bulkhead using everyone. So we just made it look like, this is also a white wall. It'd be great to kind of get murals there. This is just, we have this here. This is, I mean, we looked at a lot of historical pools. A lot of them are interior. They were, you know, pretty dirty water, often the river water. But we thought it was interesting. And then this is where we started with the terracotta companies. Obviously, we're looking at a lot more kind of handmade aesthetic, a little more sensitive to kind of a This is more to kind of for the joint expression. And then the appendix just has the visibility study showing it's not visible.
Thank you. Oh, you're right. So, Netta, you have any questions? Because we've heard this before. So we're much more familiar. And Netta, please meet William Bates. You guys have any questions?
I do have a question. The
Yeah.
mechanical that goes on the roof, is it only your elevator overrun, or do you have actual equipment that goes?
So the pool has very specific air handlers. Oh, okay. You have there's
I didn't see it part of that.
roof plan, there's 4 larger units that'll be dedicated to the pool. And they're, like I said, their location is a expression of the confluence of the sightlines, street.
And that's the elevator over.
Less concerned about the visibility, more concerned about the sound that it could be.
Absolutely.
Or
In fact, we are as well. And so, we're looking at it, I'm using the same company on a couple projects with very similar condition. And it's called Kinetics. They reduce the decibel count by around 30 decibels.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to structurally support them, but they, as long as they're 50% open. And then they do an option, we're waiting for some calculations back, but there is an application where you can do the same louvers, with cap, not just a vent, it's basically a little doghouse over top. So, I mean, we're as concerned, we're gonna meet acoustic code. That's the ambition here.
And the neighbors are okay with it. Is it 40 worth or 20 worth?
No, neighbors are not okay with it.
Okay.
40 word, no, there's three properties. There's a Leonard Street, there's
One word is
One word.
Leonard and,
Many of them.
like,
Okay.
One
It's
more.
not in our purview, right? Acoustics, I mean, it is the architects and community board, but landmarks, it's visuals.
Okay, so going back to visuals, there was a partition that you had between the pool and where parents sit. Is it hitting the glass?
everything hits volumes.
Hits the mullions.
Well, that one doesn't hit, that one hits the column.
there's a jog.
The jog.
It is a
On the inside or the outside?
From the outside, you would see.
I mean, you're actually pretty close to that.
By the way, I love the profile.
Yeah, we're fighting for it, but
jogs right here just to hit the mullion.
Right in center.
That being said, we're responsible for core and shell, and the interior is filed separately, but we have that.
right, but we need their layouts to work out, obviously mechanical, egress. all that.
And I don't know, maybe you have answered this, but the tenant, the operator of the swimming pool, do you know how often the blinds are gonna be drawn?
So they typically, it's pretty rare for them to have had a like ground up building built. Take over all sorts of buildings, whether they're steel, concrete, wood, some on the upper west side, upper east side, they're up in Brooklyn. So it's rare that they even find themselves in that position, but when you see them, they have a pretty garish color scheme that's blue and white. A lot of decals on the window that won't be permitted here by us.
Okay,
That's why we suggested the blinds.
good, because, last thing we want is.
That's why we put the screens up.
Goldfish at-
We
on the
thought of
glass.
branding and we were a little concerned, so.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Susan,
Oh,
Vera?
Susan,
Muted.
thank you.
You're muted.
Wonderful.
Uh, I love the concept of a pool. I can't wrap my head around the design. I don't know. So that's all I have to say for now. It's a little hard for me. I just can't, I can't get a grip.
Not contextual enough for you.
It just doesn't, I don't know. I know what they're trying to do and I respect it and I'm, all of those things, but it doesn't work for me somehow.
Okay, all right. So Vera, you want to say something?
No, I mean, I wasn't there the first time, so I mean, so they have addressed all the concerns of the committee the first time around that they presented?
Well, I mean, basically, except the concern that, it might not be so contextual.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not their fault because of these easements, maybe.
Yeah,
I can expand on that a little bit. In our conversations with our staff team at LPC, I mean, they're kind of feeling with a lot of these buildings that are ground up in a historic district is a sense of like commitment to their own contemporary nature, but referenced somehow, whether it's a narrative, whether it's a physical expression. I totally get it's not everyone's cup of tea.
I think it's
I think
too
you need
much,
to
there's this, there's that, there's this, it's just like everything is always going, everyone is special,
Can I say something?
right?
Yes, you may. We're gonna close, yeah, why don't we see everyone in the room and then we're gonna figure it out at the end of this. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, I want you all to remember that this is directly across the street from the Mercantile Building.
That's a good
Directly
one.
across the street from the Mercantile Building. Right? This building, corner of Harrison and Hudson.
Mhm.
So that's, one issue I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of. Otherwise, representing the building, we have not seen its final plan. I have not seen its plan that's been presented today. I've seen parts of it. I've seen the former plans, the first plans. I have not seen these. So that they have been in communication with the three buildings, but, we found out about this, that this meeting was happening this morning. They didn't notify, got no notice of this meeting. So I'll just start with that. And, we're in discussions. I don't know how much landmarks has to do with zoning issues or easement issues, but we're in discussion around all of those things. There's some difficulties within the easements and within the zone.
Gotcha. Okay, so unfortunately, landmarks, they kind of like they punt that over to these other people. So yeah, that's not gonna come up. And, does anybody else want to say anything? Anybody? Okay,
Just 1 second, we're thinking. You're an example of one of those projects where, sort of a larger team effort really, did sort of help, I think. And you took a lot of our concerns into consideration. I think that I understand the arch and the arch typology and, I think a lot of it had to do with the color scheme. It's really in your face, but I think this, is already moving in a better direction, right? Because it's more brick-like rather than a shiny thing, and then it's flying to the moon really high. I think the expression, and the color was mostly what, freaked the entire neighborhood out. Some of us. But is it better now?
I don't love it so much better, but yeah, whatever, I think it's weird for me contextually, but I wouldn't be like the person. We wrote a positive resolution last time?
No.
You wrote a
we-
positive resolution?
We flatly disliked it.
Oh,
and
so I don't know if we can
discouraged.
really change our minds, since like nobody's even here from anywhere except the neighbor who doesn't like it, and so, did you see something that compels you to rewrite the resolution? I didn't, did I write it? I don't.
William, do you have any?
Have no purview here.
You're done? Did you like it last time? You were okay with it?
No, I don't remember loving the shape of the arches.
Okay.
I just don't see any reason to alter from the last time. There's nothing.
Do you love, empty parking lot that's not serving the community?
No, I think
Okay.
this is better than that.
Okay, I'm just asking out loud for reals. Right, we're waiting for
But
this. I
between
mean,
that and this, there's a lot in between.
I understand, but.
And, I think that I sort of think I hit this on the spot when I said that everyone's special. And why do you have to be so special? Go to Pennsylvania, there's lots and lots of free land, build whatever you want, and you can stick out as much as you want. And I think that's what's really freaking out the community. And
Are you saying?
and this board.
Like, why should we all want a pool for our community, but why not put it in an old building?
I don't even think that's,
Well,
No, I'm saying that their expression, their architectural expression, using this arch.
and you'd rather see like an old garage structure with like just a more, nice.
No, no, I'm not designing.
I'm just asking you for yourself, if someone had to force you, say, "Ah, we must build a veterinary hospital for, miniature schnauzers on this corner. It's gotta be 20 feet tall. Would you rather see it less expressed? That's what you're saying, right? You'd rather see it less expressed? Okay, I'm gonna close, yeah.
Less, spectral.
the last time I sent you examples from around the neighborhood,
Mhm.
of similar one
Mhm.
buildings.
Yeah.
with Arches,
Mhm.
and other buildings with arches that were more in line with, you guys are the architects, I'm not, but shape wise, more. in
That's
line
right,
with
I remember. that.
Similar, this is not, I mean, I don't know if it's right, but it strikes me more almost echo-like than,
There's a Deco building right outside, the Walker building.
Yeah, the Walker
sure, but it's
building,
not-
On,
I think the thing is, all that Landmarks Commission asks them to do is to put together a narrative of why this is the way this building is shaped. And they did it. They looked at all these buildings with the double order and they said, okay, there's a lot of these buildings like whatever. And they put it on paper. They came back here twice. Landmarks Commission's gonna approve it. They're gonna do it. So, do we wanna like be in the middle of that hating on it for coming back? Or do we wanna say like, it's not our favorite, but
But the
You know-
coming back is just to deal with the easement, right, the change.
no, the coming back is not, it's completely, you didn't have to come.
Nothing to do with
You didn't have to come back.
primarily it was the expression of the
No.
metal screens. But like Landmarks wanted us to check with you guys that it was different enough. They wanted us to make sure that.
Yeah, you really didn't have to come back. You're on the scale of not, I'm just saying, if this man, I don't know him, I don't care, but people don't come back after we tell them we don't like your stuff. And he came back, not so different. Now that I'm looking at it again, I agree it might be made too special, but at the same time, like, they put a lot of effort in it, they studied
No,
the
it's a
thing.
huge,
Like,
huge
I wish there were more people from the three block radius around here to speak about it, because I'm not gonna come in and squash something if nobody is here from that part of Tribeca to say, I don't like it. We say people don't like it, or the community's up in arms about it, but there's no one here from the community, so I
What
don't know.
about
who's
people
up in arms.
online?
There was no one online, that's what,
Online?
you know how many people are online? 5.
Love those 5 people.
Yeah, Susan, my old friend, doesn't count. Andrew Berman, a great guy, he's not talking, but we all know him. Vera,
Yes.
great lady, okay?
But they're
There's-
not raising their hands to be.
That's right, they're not raising their hands, it's not a lot of people, I'm just telling it like it is, okay? So we're just gonna reinstate this thing and people can, okay, Susan.
I have one question. It's not within our purview, but I do have a question. And my question is, who's going to own this? Is it a cost? Is it a nonprofit? Is it a for-profit pool? I'm just curious. I know it's not within our purview.
Commercial building and it's like, it's a classically occupied commercial, Goldfish Swim School is a chain. It surprised all of us that they are lucrative enough to occupy a Tribeca corner lot, but there are
And
no
they-
kids there that need.
Well, and they're gonna be
But they're
competing against the existing 3 swim schools in 5 block radius, which is bizarre, but that's not what.
I didn't hear Jared. What did you say? Speak.
There's already 2 pools in this neighborhood, 3 pools in the neighborhood.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
It's not really a
They won't
pool
be
as
there.
much as.
I'm gonna,
It's
yeah.
It's for children to learn safety.
No, I'm saying swim schools, but regardless.
Okay, we're here at the table, plus these guys, do we wanna reinstate this, or do we wanna change our mind?
I don't see why, for the sake of consistency, why would we alter from?
I'm with you, let's just.
I agree.
That's fine, so call the question, just saying this is the same thing. Thank you for coming back, thank you for the great study of arches. We don't think it's enough to warrant the building of a building on spec for a pool.
Yes.
So it's a vote for the.
Propose.
Yep.
Call the question.
Yep, second,
Opposed? Any abstentions? Any recusals? Online? Online, Vera and Susan?
I vote with the group.
I do too.
Thank you, motion carried.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, thanks for coming back. Good luck in March. Let's see what happens, right?
Now let's go to the second.
You know, Bruce lives on this block. So that's a little something.
He's in Paris.
No, no.
Exactly.
We've seen again the person. Yeah, wow. But they, that they think.
Vicky, do you have the clicker and you want to pass everyone what exchange?
Yes, this guy.
Yes.
No.
Ah. Good, nice to
Stand up
see
here.
you. The previous resolution.
Thank you so much.
Previous resolution. Question. Anyone else would like a copy of this 20 exchange? Please. Previous resolution, you know, Valley and where the light comes from. And I really, I just think, oh my God, so I'm put it out.
Hold on.
Because, you know, we've received these documents, like grants. It has the original one has, it was there. And you didn't do it, and it's like having earrings, but without an ear. This.
It's not there.
It's there. Yeah, but that's not in your new.
It's still there. We're not removing it. It's there. Existing, I'm sorry.
That's great.
Right? Just look.
Oh, yeah.
No, she studies a lot.
Yeah, you have very good eyes. We were not focused on that. It's staying. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
please, because he's.
Oh, yeah. No, that's-
Right?
It's
Otherwise,
there.
you can just like plug the light anywhere. Okay, okay.
I'm sorry. That's the.
That's the thing to do.
That's why we're right.
Okay.
All right, so.
Go for it.
We're not presenting.
Look away.
You are. It's easier.
Okay, I'm Agent Newcomb, JC Architecture. We are renovating wonderful property at 20 Exchange, neighbor. I think last time we came, we had 4 scopes of work on the exterior that we were talking about. I'm only going to talk about the ones that had concerns, which I agree and believe.
So William, the
could be advised.
concerns.
Not including planters, right? Because that's not part of our
They're
thing.
good.
Right,
So the
good,
bottom
okay.
3, flag poles, illumination, facade filters, I think all of that, we're not going to talk about.
Okay.
It's- The feedback was,
Yeah.
I agreed with, was there's not enough detail.
And then.
And the patina, there should be a patina. So we said, went to the client, they were like, yeah, that sounds great.
Okay,
Christopher, my colleague, did a lot of studies,
great.
but we opted for, well,
Show us, and have you been in correspondence with this LTC staff too?
not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not
Okay,
yet.
so this is gonna be what you show them.
I'll go with this first.
Cool.
I'm going to skip to,
So you've had no contact with them?
the original contact before first.
Yeah, you have adopted and like, is it open? Yeah, okay, that's all.
I mean,
Because I wouldn't want you to go before
Yeah.
you've spoken to them, but
No,
you
I
have.
got it.
Okay.
The LPC was generally receptive.
Great.
So we were. I'm just gonna skip to the part this is all the stuff we had before. That's the 4 scopes of work. Okay, scope 1, that's the one we're gonna talk about. And I'm really just gonna focus on this. So
Did you add a few more lines?
we did,
Dang.
you're welcome. So the existing condition, let me skip around. This is a lot of stuff. So this is what's there. So we really focused on the entrance and the plan side by side. Yes, sir, last time. So this is the side by side.
Now I see why it's helpful.
Oh, yeah, I get it. So again, the concern was about 760 something, 7 buildings, 400 dogs.
Yeah.
Only 15 kids, really.
The kid, I'm totally not
So-
surprised. 15 kids
Yeah, that's what the super.
in my building, 5 years, 2 kids.
Hmm.
With all the
Job.
schools, so that's one of the things we're trying to, create a kids playroom on the inside and this other stuff.
It's all like
Interior.
great.
So- But anyway, a
The
lot of
parents
traffic.
can't afford it. The building is filled with young people, you know, sharing. Sharing. It's up. It's
So,
first.
so a lot of those. So the idea was again to get there, bizarrely, the two revolving doors in the last renovation. It's first, but it's a cluster, you know, it's a mess. It's really hard to get building.
Yeah.
We were proposing a, you know, as previously noted, deeper, significantly deeper vestibule with. I had to look at some other doors. Klein is really adamant on these doors. So this was the door type we were proposing. What we did, I'm gonna skip to, let's skip to this part. So I want to focus on this. So we really looked at the size of the ones on the William Street side. We started to bring in some more detail. We actually have, we're working with an amazing graphic designer we recommended for this. It's actually going to be more of an architectural font that they pulled from the building. It's not that, we just didn't get it. But the idea was really to sort of bring in some more detail. And this is reading really, really light. But if I, instead of skipping everything, you see. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we spoke to the manufacturer assistant. We're looking at, again, a very similar profile to what's there. Just breaking up the storefront into smaller sections. Okay, I want to get to the materials here. So we were looking at something that was close to this. Again, I think this is going to be mock-ups, work in progress. How do we get there? I thought it was a great comment. You know, we were using innovation, optimal. Respect was a great comment. So we're looking to do something that is in this universe with stores. I mean, I can go back to a lot of pages skipped.
No, we'll go back to the doors. The front elevation. So the planters, all, we had no issue, the planter and the lighting, so all of that is the same, right?
Nothing.
And those two blade signs that we,
These guys, same, we're gonna replace the little light here, so in that, just fixing the lighting inside, but basically everything stays as.
and that light fixture, is that part of the existing, or you're getting a new one?
It's existing to remain, you know, we're not changing it. We are on the fence budget-wise on the interior light fixture, it doesn't matter for this, but they are, you know, that would be the biggest fix, because as a professional.
And you increase the width of the mullions in the upper windows, right?
We are not changing them.
Oh, okay.
We are going to refinish them to match everything else and kind of darken it up, so just.
You got a new direction since the last time we saw you?
That was a new direction. I think instead of doing the whole replacement, we're gonna keep it.
Okay, say that one more time.
We send them back to.
You're gonna keep that whole thing?
No, to redesign, now they just gave out the whole scope.
Right.
We're doing the bottom part.
You're keeping
but we're-
existing materials.
And
some
we're
form of
refinishing,
part.
we would like to refinish it to be.
That's cool. You're gonna do a more applied finish to what's there to make it blend better with this finish, is that what you're saying?
The idea.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, great, go for it.
But that's not original to the building.
It's not, but it's there. Tell us with you,
Because you
please.
You just can't afford it. The rents are sky high.
I think it's a
You can't
budgetary.
afford it. Of course it is.
I don't know, Vicky.
Please.
So, we put more into the part that people see more. And-
Right.
What is the metal that you're proposing? Is it just painted aluminum, anodized aluminum,
It's an anodized stainless.
anodized stainless?
Sorry?
It's anodized aluminum,
Stainless.
stainless.
No, but tell her the rest of the building, the original building is nickel silver. I mean, incredible.
See, the image that you showed was also, the image that you showed also looked like nickel. Yeah.
To Vera and.
I have to stop the presentation in order to get them on.
Okay, Vera or Susan, do you have any thoughts on this? This is a re-seeing of this beautiful building. And, they don't have enough money to do the big dog, so they're coming to do a little bit of something. Do you like it?
We sent them back to do that very thing to
They
redesign.
did what they went back. He's not touching a part that's there. He has every right to not touch something and you're tinting it.
We are.
Okay. Then below that, where you're having this issue with what, the revolving door, you're gonna change it to these, we called them airport doors, but whatever. That's a bad name for them because they're gonna be a lot sexier than that, right?
So,
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
so just 1 second, so we asked them to go back, right? Committee did not find a new vestibule, glass facade and sliding doors to be in harmony with the design of this magnificent
So let's
building.
bring that
So
back.
what did you actually change?
There you go.
Can you
Yeah,
say that?
instead of being large panes of glass, we really broke down the facade.
Okay, so let's see that.
Here's the proportions of the building. That was the, one of the comments.
That's right.
Where do we see that?
Coloration you were not happy with, which I,
Go ahead, sir.
that's a good comment.
And then just 1 second. Right, so there's more of this.
Which is a little bit, which is certainly more in keeping with the,
It's more robust.
I can live with this. Anyone else?
Ooh. The finish is gonna be what now are we talking about?
we're trying to match that image I was showing, so
Just describe it in words. Is it
I
a
mean,
brushed aluminum or
it's brushed stainless. with
Brushed stainless.
patina.
with a patina? So that it looks like it's been there and it looks like other stuff you've seen.
Yeah, again,
Because
we're.
what's there is crazy, right? It's like silver. No, you said it was some sort
Oh,
of.
actually silver originally, but it's all patina and.
Right, it's all
Again, we're
around.
working, just a reminder, we're working with Mary Kay Judy, materials expert, landmarks expert.
You've done your
Try to-
analysis,
We really
yeah.
brought her on board and
Uh-huh.
she's helping with the other restoration program and all that.
Vicky, I mean, it's not so bad. What's there is not original, right?
And
Yep.
What's there is not good.
Okay, so let's do it.
Good.
So let's, you wrote this, Vicky, so can you get behind this as a positive or no?
What did you say you were?
The revolving doors that are there from what, the sixties or seventies, it's like
Not nineties, no?
2000.
2000.
For
Okay.
God's sake.
Beauty.
This is not certainly not worse than that.
Okay,
So you're saying that they're not, historically relevant,
They're
we're
not
not.
relevant, they're not practical, what's the? Cares?
Oh, we didn't, we weren't so much about the typology, we just didn't like the cheapest of. the
You don't have like
doors.
the other one, if I remember, you had sort of rounded glass.
Still have the
But it
right.
still has that vestibule, yeah,
I think that's where we can.
yeah.
on the round glass.
Must say that, but. All right, sir, thank you for coming back. It's cold out. And, we will call the question
Sure.
and.
Supporting.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
I'm supporting it.
You're gonna rejigger your, big beautiful writing?
Okay, let me- Vera and Susan, are you in favor? Did you-
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Not changing that.
Everyone in the room's in favor?
Except to say we thank you for coming back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Favor.
Thank you. Okay, next,
Greenwich.
301 Greenwich. It's like an easy one, like changing one window or something.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, seriously.
Is anyone on your team online or everyone's here in the room? So I can move them over? 301 Greenwich? I mean, yeah,
Yeah, Roy.
Governor's Island, excuse me.
Oh, you're looking at like, Governor's Island.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
McDonald's?
Right? Am I wrong?
Okay,
Hey, how you doing?
where was I?
Long time, huh? Look at you. I know you.
Thank you.
I know your good work. Thank you.
On the power, the clickers on the table. Ready? keeping that.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Um,
So,
hello.
Islands. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Hi, my name is Angel Ayon. I'm the principal of Ayon Studio Protection and Preservation, and I'm delighted to be here today to show you a project that was taken to the Land Preservation Commission. And hope that this is the latest presentation that we sent.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Okay, good. And but before I start, I want to, this is not the latest presentation that we sent because the
Okay.
latest one had a different slide.
Okay, that's.
Oh, is that the building 301 slide?
Yes.
Okay, we have it in the printout, thank you. All right.
Do you want me to? You gotta
Is
give
it,
me a
is it
minute.
very different? So let's do it. Yeah, do it the right way. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take
What am I
this
doing?
out. Yes, yes.
You have.
So I ate it all.
We did it.
But I'm fast. No, you're not.
That is.
Yesterday, it was an attempt at rape. It was a day out. That's why the neighbors were saying.
And I was killing it. So I
Let's
was.
try again, so.
Right, here we go again. You know my name.
Max.
And can we maximize the slide? Maybe you, there you go. And I'm gonna make it possible to allow Alex from the trust to make an introduction about the project so that you get the big picture about what this is about.
Great, thanks on help. I'll be brief before we get into the design. I just want to say hello, I'm Alex from the trust. I think we've talked about this project with you a couple of times, but before we go into design, just wanted to remind of the program. So it's a renovation of an old schoolhouse on Governor's Island. It's about 23,000 square feet. Really into a hub for businesses and nonprofits working on climate in line with the overall climate vision that we're pursuing on the island. There'll be offices, classrooms, research space, workforce training. And personally, as someone who works on the island every day, I'm also excited that there will be a year-round cafe accessible to the public as part of the project as well. We have members of the development team here, North River, BJH, and Brodo Bay.
And you will ban all helicopters flying. There's the point in coming to you because I felt like I was trapped.
If you can help us with that, I would be very
Oh
happy.
God, if you ever Google my name.
It's a, on hold, probably talk about this, but it's a legal project, all electric building systems, which we're really excited about, and they'll be breaking ground in just a couple months. So anyway, we'll get into a lot more detail on the design. I just want to say hello from the trust.
Thank you.
Give that overview.
Are you renovating an existing building?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so this is not about the new buildings. We are talking about, we don't do new buildings. What people do that. We're talking about an existing building, located within the boundaries of the historic district. It's known as 301 Comfort Road. It's a former school that, was built in 1938. It's located just from the south end of the district, just across the street from Nike Pier. This building is the result of three different phases of construction: an original 1934 building, 1950s edition, and a 1960s edition. For us, this is really one building. And when you see it from the pier, it's just this really long building with this kind of nice, spacious character, New Georgian style, and so on. We're here because we're doing a building-wide intervention that we're submitting to landmarks. But there are only a couple of elements that we're presenting at public hearing. All the restoration work, all the window replacement work, all of the information is all being reviewed at public hearing. There are only two main components that we want to present at public hearings, and they have to do with the rooftop enclosures that were put in on the building. It's a very shallow, one-story building that you can see from very far away. So we were very careful to make sure that we would just show back all the mechanical equipment in one place on each wing and protected with an enclosure. So that's one element that we're presenting to you. And the other element relates to the entrances and how do you get into this building today and how are we proposing to get into the building, which is a little bit different. Here's when you come off the pier and you walk south, you kind of get to that building and you want to see this cupola and the steep roof on the map, and you want to get there. So what happens is that this is the secondary entrance to the building. The historic entrance, main entrance to the building is on Comfort Road, which is on the other side. So this is on Kimmel Road. So the main change that we're proposing here is that we're proposing a new entrance on the building, removing an existing entrance, and we're proposing a new entrance so that when you get off the pier, you can walk into the building right there. And we're showing that we're gonna have mechanical enclosures on the rooftop. There's a photo that we took a few days, weeks ago, just showing you the rooftop. So this is on Kimmel Road looking west, and this is the east wing. You can see the main facade, and you have the water on the front. This is a waterfront property, so it's really, there's a number of components here related to flood resistance and flood resiliency that we're not presenting because they're being reviewed at staff level. But suffice to say, this is the main facade and the traditional historic entrance that you see that into the Georgian entrance and the portico and so on. It doesn't really have all the components of the original entrance. There used to be a double-sided stoop. There's only half of the original stoop there. The other half was demolished, and then it was replaced with this totally outside, non-ADA compliant ramp that we're proposing to remove it.
Please.
Here's the west entrance. The other issue that we have is that, as you can see, the entrances, when you get all these 2 or 3 steps, there's a step between the top of the entrance and the finished floor. These are egresses, so the building code requires that both sides of the door should be at the same level. So what we're doing is that we are removing and salvaging all that granite and rebuilding it higher. We're adding another step. This is the condition of the stoops. They are in very good condition. All granite with these brick sidewalls. It's about an 1.5-inch gap, so it's about time that we do some work there. This is the west entrance into what we call the north wing. That also has an existing wood-based concrete ramp that was poured on top of the concrete, the granite steps that we're also proposing to remove. You step back from that area, you see a little bit of the view of the rooftop mechanical enclosures. We are also going to have a generator. This building again is in the island. You think about flooding and the need for businesses to continue to operate there. So we're also providing a lot of flood resistance. There's a proposal to also include a generator that is located in the secondary facade and the rear facade. And this is the enclosure. This is the mock-up of the proposal. Similar condition.
Generator on grade.
The generator is going to be above the floodplain, which means that it's going to be higher than the ground. And that's also why it's so tall. But we're enclosing the entire generator with a louver. And you're going to see an image.
So it's above the DFP.
Mhm.
Oh,
This is the main entrance on the south facade. This is the existing bulkhead that you get into on the south facade facing the water that we're proposing to remove. It's not original to the original building. Again, this is the central part that is from 1934, and this was added later. It has this pink cast stone topping and brickwork. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. We're not removing something that has any kind of architectural significance. However, we are acknowledging that we are removing something that has been there for a while, and we're replacing it with something new. So here's what we're doing on the south facade, facing the water. That's the ramp that is there. It's not ADA compliant. That's that bulkhead that I mentioned before that I just saw in that photo that we're proposing to remove. And we're proposing to install a new entrance porch. We want to have a kind of new point of entrance, no matter if you're coming from Yankee Pier, but if you get up the other ferry and you're coming up this way, we want this building to be open, to be welcoming to people who just want to come in for business or into this building. And we're designing this 3-sided porch with an ADA compliant ramp. The finished floor is about 4 feet above the ground, so the ramp has to be there. These are elevations of the existing and proposed. This is the bulkhead and the ramp that we're proposing to remove. This is that three-sided entrance porch that we're proposing, and these are elevations of the ramp that we're proposing for. On the north facade, the original entrance, you can see the remnants of the original precast porch with that very tall arch concrete ramp that we're proposing to remove. We also need to do this because there's also a step here between the top of the landing of that entrance porch and the interior finished floor. So by removing all of that and rebuilding the porch, we're able to accomplish two things. One, we align the floor and then we bring up the lower step that is almost buried. So we don't need to enlarge or add more steps to the portico. We just need to bring it back up. And these are, so this is the floor plan of what we're proposing, which is pretty much replicating the original configuration.
Thank you.
Here's this is what's happening on the the east facade. Similar situation, another ramp, or on top of granite, and a step between the top of the portico, of the stoop and the finished floor. We're proposing to remove the ramp, we're proposing to remove the portico. And we're building this. Now, this two are going to be aligned. We need to do that for accessibility and compliance. And we're adding one step, but it's going to be the same material, the same character, than what is there. These are sections and elevations to compare before and after. This is the step that I mentioned. They're going to be aligned. This is on the west side of the north wing, where we have a similar condition that I showed before, where you have those 3 doors, granite porch, and a concrete ramp, or on top of granite steps. We're removing all that, and we're rebuilding all of this granite entrance. We need to bring it up so that it aligns with existing finished floor and interiors, and we're also providing the new ramp here. So this is it.
You need.
I'm going to show you, because we need one on the entrance on the south, but then that north facade is going to be a multi-purpose room. And we want to make sure that that place remains accessible and people can come in and out of that multi-purpose room without having to go through the main building. And we can just have different functions. People could be doing their businesses in the offices and so on. And there could be other people coming into that little space, and that space needs to be accessible. And the last one, another entrance down the west wing that we're rebuilding as well. So it's pretty much about taking down what is there and adding one more step. But we're trying to be very careful. It's going to be with the same materials. We're replicating what is there. And we're just trying to bring these entrances into compliance. Same, this is another detail of why this needs to come up. So here's the view, the existing view of that south facade on the main building. That's the bulkhead and the ramp that we're proposing to remove. This is that 3-sided entrance porch and the ramp that we're proposing to build. The idea here is just to do something that is sort of aligned with the character and the overall design of this neo-Georgian building. And the materials are going to be a little bit different. We're also under the floodplain. This is a waterfront property, so we don't want to do something solid, concrete, granite, anything like that. This is all galvanized steel. The idea here is just to allow the water to come in and go through that porch. And we're designing this building with a series of flood-resistant measures that we're not presenting to you. It's not happening inside. But the idea is that the water is going to come in. Let the water come in. Let the building flood at the cellar if it most. But let us just make sure that we come back and we don't have the need to repair the right.
Taking a stone stair. I'm assuming on the original, not this abomination. The original building had a stone stair.
On the other side, not here.
What do they have here? Definitely not that hollow metal shed.
No, some steps.
And now you're giving us the metal.
It's a grand gesture, but it's made out of a.
Awful.
I'm sorry.
The steps are metal.
Yeah.
All the steps, all
Yeah.
the steps are made of galvanized steel.
Yeah.
And there are no risers, just strengths.
They're Fresnel risers.
So the question is still rust?
Not galvanized.
It's galvanized, how deep galvanized it will be.
No, but
Even
we're
coming into
forsaking-
contact With salt water?
Right, no, it's fine, it's galvanized steel, yeah. No, I think galvanized steel is
Yeah, but
fine.
It's not supposed to run, nothing lasts forever type of thing, but yeah.
No,
So the plaza area before the steps, what's all that all made of?
So that's all grading, galvanized grading, not similar to what you walk through on the street or on the subway, that is just a metal grading that has perforation, so it's not solid.
Between the stairs and the asphalt, that area?
Between the door and the steps.
So
No, I'm saying
This
between the
is-
steps and the roadway.
doesn't matter, it's so many years that I.
I don't clean out like it falls down in there.
Let me go there. So there is a plaza, there's a paved area that we're proposing between the street and the porch. So this is gonna be finished with brick. Below that, you'll have a different kind
So-
of landscape treatment, yes.
Just to ask a question, given that this is a climate center, we're taking grass away, is there any thought of using permeable pavers of some sort?
These are for,
Okay.
yeah, just that, but you need to have something a little bit more solid and just not gonna grow. So here's another view of the existing and the proposed entrance. This is a three-sided, it's all metal, it's new. None of that has ever been here. It's different. We're not gonna build this out of marble. There was never anything of distinction in that location. This is just about bringing in a new, fresh, contemporary entrance into this building. Another view looking south, it's existing bulkhead and the proposed entrance.
Are you keeping the water table, like that ledge there and then putting the stair on top of it, or are you gonna blow out that ledge where the doors
It
are?
has to be raised up.
That, it has to be removed.
Okay,
We're
okay.
removing that bulkhead, that.
Okay, yeah.
All that is gone.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Here's the west entrance where we are removing the existing condition and the proposed condition where we're raising the steps.
And those are in stone,
Yes.
The doors are different.
and the handrails are,
They're gonna be steel.
okay. And like you said, you were changing the doors?
Yes.
And the,
None of.
You changed the fan.
Yes, all of that's gonna go away.
Why?
This.
Okay, first of all, when you say it's all gonna go away, this one is infinitely better designed than this. Why would you do that? Now I'm getting like sweaty.
Are we talking about the window that's door on the?
The fan.
We're talking about the ductwork.
Fan light.
Okay, the fan line, okay. The fan line is gonna be restored to match the existing. What you're missing here is just an arch, but it's gonna be the same.
It's not just an arch, but okay.
So you're missing some mountains, so it will be.
It's a graphic error is what you're
It will be
We
exactly.
did not know that.
It will be exactly the same. We're not modifying the fan. We're modifying the doors because
Much
those
improved.
doors are not original.
great.
All of those doors are replacement, and we have the benefit of having access to the original drawings, so we've seen the original door configuration, and we are reinstating the original door.
That is terrific. And those two lights? They're
Those
new.
pictures, no, those pictures are actually there, and what we're proposing is, we have 3 generations of light fixtures. There is one of them that is sort of like a mid-century, that is in various locations that you'll see in all the photograph that we're planning to use throughout.
Okay.
And these are very modest light fixtures that are just to lead that area at the point of entrance.
Okay.
This is the same area where you have the generator. It's gonna be above the floodplain. It has a.
On
start-
the inside, you mean? you have
Inside,
it.
we're not gonna have the thing exposed, it's just enclosed in there, so all you will see is this mechanical enclosure and all the generator and all the piping and ductwork and equipment will be in there. And it's the same treatment that we're proposing for the rooftop enclosures. So you see here now the new ramp and the new steps that have been all raised. All that stoop has been rebuilt and raised so that it's aligned with existing, finished.
That looks great. And those windows and doors,
They're all gonna be replaced, and restored to match existing,
and they're wood or metal?
they're gonna be metal.
Oh, good.
They're gonna be,
Metal.
are you replacing wood windows with
All
aluminum?
of these windows, and none of these windows are original.
But based on what we've seen before, all of them were wood. Right?
Yeah.
All the projects that we've done, we
Of
have
course they were wooden.
labored on asking for wood windows.
Have we on Governor's Island? Because I
Yeah.
feel like that's not worth fighting, because wood windows will last about 1 year on that island. Versus aluminum clad windows that will maybe last for our whole lifetime.
This
Is that
also
true?
From the
I
thirties.
know an expert who knows about windows.
That is very true. That is very true. But more importantly, what we have there right now are pine windows that are not original, but are just saying what they love doing, showing
Yeah.
us what Jason said. They're
Yeah.
falling apart, in very good condition.
Who did that? I mean, it's not like,
In the 1930s, those windows and doors might have been metal. By then, wood was, it was beautiful metal.
30s, I don't know, but
They're not clad.
what are you gonna put back? What is it gonna look like? It's gonna look like
this.
Georgian style, Georgian revival windows, just 9/9, or what are those? 12, they're like a big dog.
Exactly to match what is there.
8/8.
And I
Yeah.
have to
Or
remind you
was
that,
there?
that what is
Historic
there,
photos or-
what is there right now matches the historic configuration.
Yeah.
These are 9x9, 9/9, 12, 10/10, something like that. We're matching what is there.
Okay.
And all of that has already been improved by landmarks at staff level. And it's not part of what we're proposing,
Right.
but I'm happy to clarify that, yes.
Right.
And I see that we have the same issue with the
The graphics,
fund
yeah.
line. So we have a little missing mountain there, but.
But you promised us that would be
Yes,
both.
that is not an issue. Here's the eastern side of the north wing, where I mentioned that we're gonna have that multipurpose room. In other words, that's the opposite side of that ramp that we're seeing right now. We want people to be able to come out into this space that you can see in the next image, or to get out or come into that ramp that leads into this space. All the replacement masonry
Water?
is all gonna be, only on staff. And these are the light fixtures that I mentioned
Yeah.
before that are.
No, they're not intrusive and they match the doors nicely in that color. So good.
And here's an image of what, I mentioned before, where we just reinstating that stoop, removing that ramp, reinstating the original stoop configuration. It's a landscape treatment that is very simple, limited to an oval, highlighted in brick. This will be an exterior event area. That's the reason why this multipurpose room needs to have access to the exterior. And also going the same with the ramp on the other side so that people can come in here without going through the main building. Everything is just restorative in nature. It's all staff level approval. The commissions of art, responded very positively about reinstating all that stoop and reinstating the original stoop configuration on each side, removing the ramp and so on. So these are, I think I have a drawing they wanted us to make sure that we had. Because they want to make sure that we have any evidence of that configuration. And that shows you the little step that used to be on the north. This is upside down, right? So this is north, that's south. That's what used to be facing the water, the little bulkhead with the steps. So that was removed and replaced with what is there. Longer and the ramp. And that's what we're removing and putting the beside entrance.
Which side is the generator on?
On the west side, maybe I can come back to the side plan. That's the end of the presentation.
I mean, the generator is there for, it's there, it's fine, it looks good in the enclosure. It is what it is, it's honest, right? It's just a piece of equipment and it's going to be making as less noise as possible. I find nothing egregious about that, except for that stair landing. Oh my God, in metal.
Okay.
Be full of trash and minutes
Of course, and it's just,
and leaves and
it's awful.
weeds and. we'll have to spray this chemical.
We don't need, yeah, I don't know why we're ruining everything
So
for climate.
what is it that you'd like to see, Vicky? Just out of, you were giving recommendations and more.
Stone,
stones.
yeah, back to
Elsewhere.
what is, native to
Something
this
Georgian.
vocabulary.
Okay.
Well, stone is not Georgian, right? I mean, it's just
Well, no,
something
but
that-
the shape was certainly Georgian. It's a, it's this
Yeah.
hair thing.
simple, geometric. Now, you said, I'm sorry, just to clarify, you said when you were here to present two things to us, right? And that was the, mechanical bulkhead, because
And the entrances.
mechanical bulkhead roofs, right?
Mhm.
And,
The
wall
entrances.
entrances. Okay.
Is there a roof plan that shows those,
Let me go back in a second.
screens,
A roof plan showing the.
screens on the roof? I
Uh,
couldn't find it in here.
They are, each of them are pretty much in the center of each wing.
They,
There we go.
So we placed them in the center of the room, in the center of the roof, just to make sure that they wouldn't be more visible from one side or the other.
Perfect.
You can see this building from, there is no
Can
front.
you see it from Yankee Pier?
Yes.
There were.
Oh, yes,
images
I'm
from
gonna
that
go
far.
back to, the original photograph. Thank you for. It's, can you maximize the views? So they can-
I mean, you could be doing it in red and green, just like the first scheme, and then you could really get a heart attack. Oh, but- What are you thinking? What? What are you looking for?
That,
It's a very shallow building. It's only 22 feet high up to the top of the coping from the street.
I don't know if this is the right answer or the wrong answer, but in the interest of symmetry, does it make any sense to make the one on the left the same size as the one on the right? Since you can see it so clearly from this far away, I know from the street level up close, you can't see it at all, really.
It's
So they're adding more for
it's
less.
because This one has more equipment.
No, I understood
This
that.
one-
No, I just meant the enclosure, not the equipment
It's
themselves.
precisely the enclosure to what is, so far that what we're presenting is just an enclosure that is sized to allow
Yeah.
for.
The minimum
circulation
requirements around the
not to make it
service.
something larger than.
This is not a gesture.
We're trying to do the minimum required here.
What he's saying is make the enclosures equal.
Which would require
Cheap one.
one of them to be larger. than
Yes.
what it-
So-
what it needs to be.
Exactly, right, exactly.
That's
A
not.
little above and beyond
That's
the
that's not what
minimum.
we're doing. Period. But that's not what we're doing.
Well, why not? I
Yeah,
mean,
then we're asking them
it's-
to consider
because
doing more.
Yeah,
All I'm trying to tell you is that, no, what we're proposing is just the minimum requirement. That you're
So
proposing.
we
that-
could ask you back to show us it wider.
You have that right. That is exactly what you.
but you see our point, right?
I can see that point of view. The other point of view that we've been following is that we're trying to do the minimum required. And if we need to put an enclosure that is 10 feet larger than what it needs to be, is that is an unnecessary expenditure.
Hmm.
So that's where we've been coming from. That's what
Right,
we're.
but you are dealing with a wonderful historical building and location, and it would be, prudent, to do everything you can, to respect it and honor it. So that's why we're saying this is, something that you should suggest.
And I'm not,
Stone step.
I'm not objecting to that. I'm just telling you what we're
The
doing.
mechanical penthouses are not historical traditions and they're functional to buildings, so, and you
Yes,
propose
maybe.
for cemetery keeping.
Well, I said I didn't know if it was right or wrong. It seems so obvious when you look
Yeah.
at it from that, you're like, oh, wow, why is that so different?
Which I think the symmetry is a good point, which to me, having that ramp on one side, which very evidently breaks the symmetry, is much more of an offense than having.
Oh, that's why I asked, how many ramps do you need, for God's sake?
Is it legal to do a lift instead of ramp
Yeah.
in the historic building?
I think it is.
You can do a lift, that lift is gonna be on the water.
Yeah.
When
And mechanically.
the entire year of life is what?
First, the next Sandy, number one, and number two, often,
Next Sandy is a 500-year event,
Oh,
right?
maybe.
And it'll be underwater for 10 days and then it'll dissipate and who's gonna be there?
Replace it, because
So
once we
lift
have
is mechanical.
a lift,
So
submerging.
there is not a lift
So-
within flood zone anywhere?
To my knowledge, no. You would not put mechanical equipment with an electrical, service that to be submerged underwater. You would at least protect them and you would try it.
Is the whole Pier 17 out of the flood zone? With all the.
No, we've gone mad now all of a sudden. We're still fracking. Sorry, we're not being very sympathetic. This poor Governor's Island is getting hacked and chopped and. Chief,
I'm leaning towards things getting done. I don't know, I think that,
we
I
need
think
that
if I
metal
think
stair.
that the top stuff, it appears somewhat temporary, being that it's just a windshield thing, it could be reversed.
Yeah.
I don't think you should make it symmetry unless you have something beautiful up there. On the steps, maybe we could, split the thing in half, and how about steps that we'd like to see steps out of that material we understand for waterproofing. Could it be, that they have more of a friendly shape, shape that's less like into a museum and more like this old Georgian thing? I don't know. Because I do see, like, on this island, it's, we want people kind of using it. They use it for festivals, they use it for this, they use it for races. It gets flooded, it gets that, if they think it's a good idea for the longevity of the building, I don't, and it all
Who's
seems
they?
so reversible. The people that are studying this project, the Governor's Island Trust, the people that are, put together a 60-page thing. I wouldn't
Yeah, but
write a
this
negative
will-
resolution.
There are
You can write
four
So
serious
if
professionals.
if the metal stairs and ramp were stone
Mhm.
and they were to get wet,
Yeah.
Nothing would happen.
Nothing
I
would
guess nothing would happen.
Yeah.
So, sure.
And you won't have weeds growing up inside of the thing and trash and
Wait, what am I
falling
missing?
down the middle. No, that's, you're right on it.
So masonry will deteriorate exponentially if it's submerged underwater, especially if you have salt water. You will be exposing that masonry to
Every 500 years.
a.
Or every 10,
So you have to
well,
build
like,
it.
maybe it's 10.
Now, in that photograph, the water looks like 3 feet or so, but that is actually low tide. Sometimes there've been times when we've been.
Super road.
Or we know of the water coming into the road, Kingdom Road, doesn't from the building, but it's right on the water there. You're right on the water, so the water's gonna come in, it does come in. I mean, you rode no water, you've seen the water.
So in equal situation, a piece of galvanized metal under salt water will deteriorate.
It's more
Then-
resilient because.
If that was the case, all of our pavings around the waterfront would be metal as opposed to pavers, concretes.
if they didn't have to replace all the pavers.
You have to go 4 feet, you have to go 2 elements here, you have to go 4 feet
70 years from now.
to get into the finished
No, but I'm
road.
saying they were.
What we're also
submerged.
trying to do here, is just allow the
Sorry,
water
sorry,
to flow the
yeah.
building, try not to impose loads, not to build something new that is gonna impose lateral loads on the base of the building. And we just have a lightweight perforated structure that is just gonna allow the water to go through without really imposing additional loads into the
So
building.
they're all wet basements, but not the ground floors.
There's one cellar below the original building. They are-
So that's gonna be a wet space.
That's right, there's nothing going on there, it's gonna be.
We were fine with that. What we're saying is that we're going to obviously state that that stair proposal is something that we would like not to have. We would like you to change it. We would like you to rework that.
Okay, good. So that's the stair. What else?
Susan and Vera.
Yeah, well,
Susan,
Susan,
Vera.
please speak.
Susan has her hand up.
Yes, I agree. I don't like the stairs. I agree with you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Susan.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. I just want to make sure, I didn't hear that part, but the fan above the windows, that's all gonna maintain that piece, right? That arch?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
Drawing error.
It's this, everything else, I don't mind. I don't mind the pavers. It's the stairs. That's it for me.
It's the stairs, yeah. Okay.
Stair material, really.
Stair
Yeah,
material.
the gestures
We don't even
thing.
like.
Yes, the stair material. Thank you very much.
All right.
Anybody else? Because we'll call the question, and we're gonna do a favorable thing with we don't like the material of the stairs. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
But the other 2 points were fine.
Okay, great.
Mechanical bulkhead roofs. And.
Right, we're not gonna mention this, evening out the bulkhead roofs. Okay.
Motion?
Motion.
I so move.
Thank you. Any opposed, any abstentions, any recusal, motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item.
Thank you. Good to see you, buddy.
thank you.
See you. Oh, my God.
Andrew, thank you for sticking with us.
You made it past Vicky. This is good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is it. Oh, we have one more.
Yeah, we'll move. After this is it.
Andrew?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, do you need controls to share anything, or you're just going to talk?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do you need me to give you, the share privileges, or would you be just speaking? Oh, this is the faith-based affordable housing act. I mean, not.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Well, I've been invited here to speak about the Faith-Based Affordable Housing Act. I'm not sure how familiar the committee is or what sort of information you're looking for, but I'm happy to provide whatever I can. We've been working with a coalition of preservation organizations that have been urging the bill be amended or opposed. Tell me what I can tell you that would be helpful.
Helpful which way? Those of us who are against it or those who are for it?
Are you familiar with the issue?
I am familiar.
We have a new member tonight, that has not received, the attachment. And
2-minute version, please.
just a little summary of what this is about.
Sure. So the Faith-Based Affordable Housing Act was a so-called Faith-Based Affordable Housing Act was introduced in the legislature last year. It's come back. It did not succeed. It's come back this year, and there's a very good chance of it getting voted on and being approved. The 2 state senators for Lower Manhattan, Brian Kavanaugh and Brad Hoylman-Siegel, are both sponsors of the bill. We and many other preservation organizations are extremely concerned about it. The bill is basically structured to override local zoning and local landmark regulations to allow certain kinds of specified developments to take place regardless of what those provisions say or do. Now, it's called the Faith-Based Affordable Housing Act because it does only apply to religious institutions. The reason why it's called the Faith-Based Affordable Housing Act is because the structures which it would enable to be built do have an affordable housing requirement attached to them. However, as little as about 12 or 13% of the building can be quote unquote affordable housing, and even the levels of affordability are pretty modest. They require on average that the units be accessible at a level which is just above the average income for New York City renters, just slightly below the average income for all New York City residents. So better than market rate, but not that affordable. Now, let me just sort of tell you briefly, there is disagreement about what the bill would do in one important area. We've been struggling with the legislators behind it to get them to amend the language so that it would not override existing landmark regulations. They claim that they have changed the language to do that. The language is at best, we would say, unclear and somewhat contradictory in that regard, and we've offered what we believe is better language to make that clear. What there is no debate about is that the bill would override landmark regulations for any future landmark designations. And what is also not debated is that it would override local zoning regulations, which may well be outside of the purview of this committee, so we don't have to focus on it, so that even if local zoning says this is how big a building can be at this location, under this bill, it would have to be allowed if it's on a religious property and if it otherwise conforms to the bill's requirements. And sometimes those provisions are pretty generous. So for instance, one of the provisions says, well, it can only be X tall or X size unless there's already a building on the lot that is taller, in which case it could be as tall as that building. So using just as an example, something like a Trinity Church, which has a 300-foot tall spire, it's basically saying 300 feet is the new limit for how tall a building can go on that site. It also says that in terms of zoning, again, it sort of sets certain limits, and then it says, but if any zoning district within 800 feet allows denser development, it can do whatever the zoning district within 800 feet allows. So if you're on a street that has fairly modest zoning regulations, but a block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks away is a much higher density district, it brings that higher density zoning into the site.
Just remember, I'm going to speak without I happen to agree with Andrew. Just don't think because they're religious institutions, they're not developers who want to make money and want to build as much as they can and will do the minimum for affordable housing. So don't be silly around
I
this.
absolutely agree.
Yep.
And also, Susan, with what we see happening in this country right now, we cannot give any more power to runaway politicians.
Or churches,
We need,
or synagogues, or whatever.
of course, all of it. So-
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, but it's concerning anytime there's gonna be trying to override some landmarks or anything like that.
Yes,
That-
I
that's-
think
that chipping away at that is concerning.
No, there's
Yes.
the whole hierarchy of checks and balances is so important, right? And if at the city level, rules are made and approved, then no one should have the right to just go and amend them.
So you want us to, those of us who are against this and want the language amended or whatever, to call our state senators?
Yes, communicate to your state senators and your state assembly members. I don't believe that any of them are currently sponsors of the bill, but it may well eventually come before them for a vote. So you want them to hear from you as well. And yes, please do communicate to them that these changes need to be made to the bill or it should be opposed or voted down.
Okay.
And where are these changes and how do we communicate that to them? I know you are doing that, but what change do I point to? And say this change is required?
I'll send them the document that we got.
Yes, those are in the documents that I had shared and for circulation.
Okay.
Vicky, do we do a resolution or something of some sort, or what do we do?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we can ask Tammy though.
Ask Tammy if we can.
I think you have to ask Tammy. I mean,
Okay.
I think in relationship, Jason and Vicky should ask Tammy in relationship to the landmarks and what has come before us, we could do a resolution.
And when is the vote coming up, first of all? And second of all, did you say Senator Kavanaugh is one of the authors? The sponsors, isn't he our state senator?
Yes.
He's our state senator. Thank you very much.
Yes, he is one of the sponsors. We don't know when a vote is going to happen, but it is very clear that there's a lot of momentum behind the bill. So the sooner they hear from you, the better.
Okay.
Oh, so then we should do it ASAP.
Yes.
We'll do one tonight, you don't.
Okay, not tonight, because we don't have forum, Andrew, but we're gonna work on something, and then we'll figure out a way to support.
Yeah, and you can bring it up at the executive committee, Jason and Vicky.
I will bring it up.
All right.
Excellent, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that.
Good
So
night,
we can-
guys.
Can we say good night, Gracie?
Go to bed.
Good night, Gracie.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you both.
Thank you. You too, Lucy.
Yes, Lucy, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
I mean,